aircraft 1 and 2 have been deployed. Final Orbcom payload deployed.
This morning, the Supreme Court recognized that the Constitution guarantees marriage equality. In doing so, they've reaffirmed that all Americans are entitled to the equal protection of the law, that all people should be treated equally, regardless of who they are or who they love. This decision will end the patchwork system we currently have. It will end the uncertainty hundreds of thousands of same-sex couples face from not knowing whether their marriage, legitimate in the eyes of one state, will remain if they decide to move or even visit another. This ruling will strengthen all of our communities by offering to all loving same-sex couples the dignity of marriage across this great land.
This is America.
Hitting the road to earn your vote.
I am officially running for President of the United States.
I got the strap.
They're bringing crime. They're rapists.
American people are sick and tired of hearing about your damn emails.
But don't be the world's biggest jackass.
Trump steaks. Where are the steaks? Do we have steaks? Right. We have Trump steaks.
Man who has called women pigs, slobs, and
Only Rosie O'Donnell.
And nasty women vote.
Because you'd be in jail.
Like, he broke every single political rule that ever existed when he ran for president, and he won. So what does that tell you? That tells you that the rules are nonsense.
Can you give us a question?
Don't be rude. No, I'm not going to give you a question. I'm not going to give you a question.
Can you state categorically?
You are fake news. 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 It's fake. Fake news. Fake news. Fake news. Fake news.
Hi, I'm Fox San Antonio's Jessica Headley.
And I'm Ryan Wolf.
Our greatest responsibility is to serve our
Treasure Valley communities,
the El Paso, Las Cruces communities, Eastern Iowa communities,
Mid-Michigan communities.
We are extremely proud of the quality, balanced journalism that CBS 4 News produces.
But
we are concerned about trouble and trend of irresponsible, one-sided news stories plaguing our country.
The sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
The sharing of biased and false news
has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories aren't true without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
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 Build that wall. 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 Build that wall.
I'm not going to pay for that wall.
If Donald Trump has his way, one of these will be the kind of thing that'll soon change that border forever.
after spending trillions and more than a decade and a half fighting in Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, and Pakistan in the war against terror, Trump sees a rising threat from Russia and China.
We must ensure that our courageous servicemen and women have the tools they need to deter war, and when called upon to fight in our name, only do one thing: win. We have to win. We have to start winning wars again.
Here at the bottom, you're going to have places like South Korea, Germany, and Japan at about 41 billion. Jump up to the middle, you get the UK at about 56 billion. You get Russia up here with around 66 billion. Then it's Saudi Arabia, interestingly enough. Then China with 215 billion, but that's only 9 of the top 10. Add the U.S. and look at this. Almost 600 billion in spending there, almost as much as all the other 9 of the top 10 combined. Anderson.
In just a few minutes, I will proudly sign into law the largest ever investment in the United States military. In fact, I can say the largest ever by far.
Half of college graduates are in jobs that don't even require a college degree. Yet, colleges and universities continue to talk about their record enrollment and graduation rates, even though we're not producing jobs in the economy to keep up with the supply. It is projected between 2010 and 2020, we'll create 19 million more college graduates, yet the economy will only produce 7 million more jobs that require a college degree.
43 million borrowers have about $1.5 trillion in federal student loan debt.
Student loans have helped more and more people go to college. But as demand for higher education increased, the costs did too. So students took out bigger loans each year. In the early 1970s, the average loan was about $1,000 a year in today's dollars. Now, it's around $7,000 a year. And when you factor in interest, the average person with debt owes about $30,000 when they get their bachelor's degree. If we combine all the student debt Americans currently owe, it adds up to $1.6 trillion. This is the student debt crisis.
President Obama recently pointed out that we could eliminate tuition at every public college and university with the $80 billion we spend on incarceration.
We're here today to announce the delivery and collection of 130,000 letters to congressional leadership with one clear message: take swift action and pass legislation to prevent student loan interest rates from doubling for nearly 8 million students.
Once a company has bought your debt, whether the information is accurate or not, they are going to try to collect on it. And they can either do that themselves or assign it to a collection agency. And while many collectors work within the bounds of the law, some behave like this.
James, give me my money back. I want my money, or else I'll kill you.
And if you refuse to answer the door to me, I guarantee you, I will wake up every neighbor in your entire building.
It's just collusion. Why don't you just go jump in front of the train?
You want to be a man, or you want to hide behind the telephone like a little bitty mouse? We're going to have your dog arrested, we're going to shoot him out, we're going to eat him.
One of the things that I like to do, which is pretty nasty though, is that I'll find out where somebody works, and then I'll find out who the owner of their company is, find out their number, and call them at home. I love that.
The Department of Education has known for a long time that loan servicers like Navient were screwing over students, and the Department of Education did next to nothing to stop them. Not only did it not penalize them, it actually gave them more business and has insisted that Navient specifically was not misleading borrowers. There's only one explanation for this. I've thought about this. Betsy DeVos is half human, half loan. She feeds on interest because it makes her stronger. And no one was there to stop her because not long after Trump appointed Betsy DeVos, he put his budget director, Mick Mulvaney, in charge of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. By the way, Mulvaney is now the acting White House chief of staff. He has played so many roles in the White House. He is the Tyler Perry of the Trump administration. That is terrifying. When he took over the CFPB, two things happened. He became Seth Brotman's boss, and he stopped the Bureau from going after predatory companies. Things got so bad Mr. Puffery quit in protest. You wrote a resignation letter to quit.
I did.
In your resignation letter, this is what you wrote. You have used the Bureau to serve the wishes of the most powerful financial companies in America. The damage you have done to the Bureau betrays these families and sacrifices the financial futures of millions of Americans in communities across the country. God damn, Seth.
Today's Democrat Party is held hostage by haters, absolute haters, left-wing haters, angry mobs, deep state radicals.
I think that there is this, what you can call the deep state. I know people think that's like a conspiratorial term, but it's really not. All that's saying is that the CIA, the NSA, the FBI, these are people who are in these positions of power, and they're there throughout all these different administrations.
Yeah, Snowden talked about that.
Exactly. So that's not conspiratorial. And so when you have a kill list, and when you have people at the CIA and the Pentagon, by the way, a lot of them are calling the shots, and maybe they just need an okay every now and then from President Trump. But yeah, I mean, I think that it's not just one person making all the decisions. I think that the president does play a role, but I also think it's generals, I think it's people at the CIA, and I think it's this complex web of people who are all kind of involved in this thing that ends up being drastically negative.
The activity records, what the government calls metadata, which they argue they do not need a warrant to collect, tells the whole story. And these activity records are being created and shared and collected and intercepted constantly by companies and governments. And ultimately it means as they sell these, as they trade these, as they make their businesses on the backs of these records, what they are selling is not information. What they are selling is us. They're selling our future. They're selling our past. They are selling our history, our identity, and ultimately, they are stealing our power.
This is a romantic notion my colleagues have, that somehow people come in and they just follow the law. No, they don't. They have an agenda. They have a political point of view. There's no coincidence that all the bedroom communities of the Washington, D.C. area are heavily Democratic, and those are the people that are by and large working in the government. They have a point of view, they're quite informed, and they have an agenda.
When I was a cadet, what's the cadet motto at West Point? You will not lie, cheat, or steal, or tolerate those who do. I was the CIA director. We lied, we cheated, we stole. It was like we had entire training courses.
Get down right here. Right here. Okay, go.
John Blackstone is near the scene just south of the famous Las Vegas Strip. John, good morning.
Good morning. Well, police say they found in the Mandalay Bay Hotel back here, that room was filled with weapons, as many as 10 weapons in the room that this gunman was using to shoot down into the crowd that was gathered for this concert on the other side of the Las Vegas Strip.
My fellow Americans, we are joined together today in sadness, shock, and grief. Last night, a gunman opened fire on a large crowd at a country music concert in Las Vegas, Nevada. He brutally murdered more than 50 people and wounded hundreds more. It was an act of pure evil.
He had no machine guns when I moved him from Melbourne to Mesquite. I mean, find out who gave, who he bought the machine guns from. And once again, it's there's no blaming, it's just he bought the machine guns and he did this. I mean, it was him who did this. There's no doubt about it, because he was him. I mean, he was
completely out of character.
He's never even drawn his gun.
Literally just bought this gun yesterday, and this video is purely to just see what a bump stock is capable of doing. After major tragedies like the one in Las Vegas or the one in Texas, people call for stricter legislation on guns in general, and particular these bump stocks. But only by learning about them and knowing what they're capable of can we make the most educated decision. Right now we're gonna shoot this several times. Right now the bump stock is not in place, and we're gonna see how many rounds we can get off without the help of a bump stock. That was relatively quick. Okay. That was faster than I expected.
You have to be very, very strong on that. And don't worry about bump stock. We're getting rid of it where it'll be at. I mean, you don't have to complicate the bill by adding another 2 paragraphs. We're getting rid of it.
A Fort Worth-based bump stock manufacturer handed over its entire inventory to the government to be destroyed.
Truckloads of the rifle accessory were crushed. As of today, it's illegal to own a bump stock. Fox 4's Alex Boyer.
Well, I'd give up my gun when everybody else does.
And is that
Doesn't that make sense?
Well,
doesn't that make sense? I mean, if you were to, if there were guns here, would you want to be the only person without one?
So do you carry guns
Not
routinely at home? I mean, you have a gun at home?
Yeah, it's legal in the United States. It's part of our Constitution. You know, the right to bear arms is because that's the last form of defense against tyranny. Not to hunt. It's to protect yourself from the police.
And do you see any link between that and these sorts of incidents?
No. Nah, not really. You know what I'm saying? If somebody wants to kill people, you know, they don't need a gun to do it.
Makes it easier though, doesn't it?
Not really. You can use you can strap explosives on your body. They do that all the time.
So when there's the inevitable backlash of the anti-gun lobby as a result of this incident, as there always is.
Well, that's not going to change anything in the United States.
Anything.
Nah. The United States is based on guns. You know, like KRS says, you'll never have justice on stolen land.
So this story is disastrous. In the midst of the budget negotiations, they snuck something into that resolution that is potentially horrific and undermines our democracy. So The Intercept, with a great report from Alex Emmons and Ryan Grimm on this, they explain this provision, the provision first reported by The Intercept, appeared in the House version of the spending bill last week and modified the 70-year-old law that first chartered the CIA. It removed language that required intelligence agencies to spend money according to Congress's instructions and replaced it with a provision that allows the agencies to move money around freely and without Congress's knowledge. Oh boy, you understand that? They just passed into law that the CIA and the intelligence agencies don't have to check with Congress. Now they can move money around. Oh, you know, cut off funding for what? That doesn't matter. I can move it around to a project. You authorize it, didn't authorize it, who cares? Rule of law, who cares? 3 branches of government, who cares? No, now the intelligence agencies can do any covert operation they like, or perhaps build private armies. Yes, that is part of what they're going for here, and it is public. They've admitted it. I'll share it with you in a second. So, by the way, I thought the Republicans were against the deep state. That creates a worse deep state than we've ever had. Okay, so Blackwater founder Eric Prince has recently pitched the administration on a private intelligence force that would report directly to President Donald Trump and CIA Director Mike Pompeo. Well, that's exactly how fascism goes. The fascists go outside of the rule of law, outside of democracy, and outside of the normal branches of government, and they become unaccountable except to the executive, who then has his own private army that he uses for God knows what and crushes his opposition. So that planning has not only begun, Eric Prince bragged about it in an op-ed earlier, now it's been passed into law. Okay, the intelligence community in its latest grasp has gone too far for even Richard Burr, The Intercept explains. Richard Burr is a deeply Republican conservative from North Carolina. He said the Republican chair of the Senate Intelligence Committee has long been one of the Senate's staunchest advocates for the intelligence agencies, leading to a fight to reauthorize surveillance programs and fighting to bury the results of the Senate's 5-year investigation into CIA torture. But he took to the Senate floor Monday to warn that it would compromise Congress's ability to oversee secret intelligence programs. And they didn't listen to him. Here's a guy who loves the intelligence community, who gave him carte blanche over and over again, who said, oh, torture, what's the big deal? I'll let you cover it up. But even he is going, whoa, this means they're totally unaccountable.
Mr. Trump is a racist.
If you were racist, are you bigoted in any way? Islamophobic?
The House Democrats might be happy to label the president's words officially as racist.
But we have a president of the United States who is in fact a racist.
In condemning the president's racist tweets.
No matter the color of our skin, we all live under the same laws. We all salute the same great flag. And we are all made by the same Almighty God. We must love each other, show affection for each other, and unite together in condemnation of hatred, bigotry, and violence.
Build it!
If this man is so racist, why is he giving $100 billion to low-income communities? He's so racist. If he's so racist, why he's the president that reopened back funding for HBCUs?
So you're 100% for Trump?
150,000%.
Damn, all right, nigga.
Who would you be for, Obama? What did he do? I'll wait. You tell me one thing he did. Oh, but he's racist. But yeah, he signed into law the jail reform law that freed over 4,000 people. 97% were black. But he's racist though. This is what racists do. This is the new era of racism. I need that racism. I like it. I like it. If that's racist, let me get more of that. Facts.